What's good, people? It's your boy Nobi Inf Gang and Noble Cinema. Our guest today is one half of the legendary rap group RBL Posse. He hails from Hunters Point, San Francisco, continuing to make hits, becoming a published author. He continues to thrive in the music industry to this day. He's someone I've had the pleasure of filming multiple music videos for. He is the definition of a living legend. Black C, how are you?
What's up, man? I'm good.
Very appreciative of you coming through and letting me do this interview.
Yes, sir.
We've worked a lot in the past, made some really dope music videos. Get It Crackin' is definitely still to this day one of my favorite music videos.
One of the hardest ones. Yeah, we got more. We got to,
yes, sir.
Get off on them.
Yes, sir. So let's take them back to the beginning. How was your early life growing up in Hunters Point?
It was cool. I mean, no different than any other neighborhood or ghetto or urban community. I mean, everywhere is pretty much the same. You know what I mean? Everywhere is a ghetto. Everything is, all ghettos is similar. You know what I mean? Where it's pretty much like it takes a village to raise you. You got, mama such and such, or this mama, or people who you refer to as aunties, who, friends, moms could spank you if you're out of pocket. And what I will say, being in Hunters Point, I was blessed to be part of in the community up on Harbor Road. Man, we had a bunch of aunties and moms who looked out for us. Being able to stay at friends' homes, having the boys club, Hunters Point Boys Club up there, the Hunters Point gym in our community. I was blessed. I didn't never look at it as being as far as like low income or like we was underprivileged or anything like that, because it was so fun. So many kids out there, so many things to do. So, yeah, I love where I'm from. I love Hunters Point, love Harbor Road.
Definitely. So I heard in another interview I did, there's a difference between the houses and the projects over there as far as like housing wise. Where did you grow up at over there? Was it?
Oh, I was in the concrete jungle. I was in the projects.
And
yeah, I mean, it is
projects?
a difference. It's, I mean, you got like the Bayview district. You got like places like over there. We even they had like sort of like, they ain't really projects, but like even right next to Harbor, we call them the brown houses.
Okay.
We consider that almost like suburbish. The people who stayed there, I guess, probably was doing better as far as employment wise. You know what I mean? They probably had better jobs than some of the people right next to them inside the projects who probably was living on Section 8 welfare, things of that nature.
Were you born and raised in the same like buildings?
Yeah, well, I was born in Alta Base Hospital in Berkeley. You know what I mean? My mom was over in Oakland.
Me too, actually.
At her mom's house and went into labor. But she was staying in Double Rock. My mom is from Double Rock, 2 Cameron Way.
And that's what, Fillmore?
No, that's in Hunters Point.
Oh,
that's like the Flatlands.
Well.
Double Rock is considered Hunters Point, you could say. We even like Bayview, it's called like Bayview Hunters Point.
Right.
And Double Rock is more off the hill. What I mean? It was more by Candlestick. The project's right by Candlestick Park. So if anybody know Candlestick Park, Double Rock. That's where my mom was originally from. Gotcha. And then once she got pregnant with me, she got a house on Harbor. My father was from up there on Kiska, up on Harbor Road.
Okay.
So him and his mom stayed up there and brought my mom. Pretty much she moved up there to get close to him, got a house up there, and that's where I came home to when I came from the hospital. I came to 27 Harbor Road.
So for people that didn't grow up in like project housing, what is that like? Is it everybody's a lot more closer because you open your door and you walk outside and everybody's outside, or how was that?
Yeah, I mean, exactly like that. It's a big building with probably maybe like 5 to 6 homes in it. The end homes, maybe 4 bedrooms. The ones right next to that is probably 3 bedrooms. And then in the middle, it might be a 2-bedroom or two bedrooms, something like that. So we started off with a 2-bedroom, and then we moved to Sunnydale. We was there from 71 to 80, like 79. Then we moved to Sunnydale when they rebuilt them. And when we came back, we moved next door to a 3-bedroom.
How'd they look when they rebuilt them? Better?
No, it was the same concrete slab. They just threw some paint on them and put grass slabs out there. It was probably a lot of dirt. And they separated the backyards. The backyards used to be open with, the clotheslines and all that stuff out there. But then they separated them, gave you like a brown fence where you had your own backyard. And they redid the inside too, new cabinets, things of that nature. But it was the same cement slab. They didn't do nothing to that but painted a different color.
Got you.
a little
So
bit of landscaping.
so were you like coming up in that? Did you know that sort of you were in the projects, or that was just it was just normal?
It was just normal. I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
pay attention. I mean, I knew later on, like when I go to my auntie and them house out in Concord, they like it was different. You know, you go out there, you seeing lemon trees and plum trees, raspberries, and it smelled different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Big
I used to
difference
be out
between
there.
Concord.
Yeah, yeah. I was out go out there, and they ceilings was a little higher. You know, our ceilings was probably about 8 feet. You go out there, it was 10 feet, 10 foot. You know, vaulted ceilings. So I was just like, oh yeah, my auntie and they living, they balling. You know, it just was different.
Yeah.
I didn't hear when used to hearing crickets and
Mm-hmm.
none of that. So at nighttime, it smelled different, felt different. You know what I mean? But yeah. But while I was there, nah, it was cool. I loved it. Going outside, a bunch of people outside hanging out. You know, dudes selling dope or doing whatever. Gambling, you seeing dice games, but you know I was so used to it, I didn't think nothing of it. I walk right past it, go to the gym, playing basketball, you know, bouncing my basketball and going about my business, not even looking at it like, you know, damn, we in the ghetto.
Mm-hmm. So what was a young Black C like back then when you were coming up?
Um, Man, I was hella shy. I was quiet.
Mm.
You know, I didn't um I didn't really start getting out there. It's probably the middle school. You know, all through like elementary and everything, I was real quiet. You know what I mean? I go to school like I knew everybody because I'm from the projects. Like I went to school with like a lot of dudes from Oakdale and elementary. Went to George Washington Carver. You know, a lot of people knew me and I knew everybody. But when I go to school, I used to be shy. I used to be real quiet, shy. I wasn't talking too much. You know, away from there when we going to the gym, I'm talking shit. You know what I mean? You know, I'm being who I am. But I
Yep.
was I was I was a real shy person, really all the way up really till I started rapping. You know what I mean? That's when I kind of came out my shell. You know, but when I went to school, man, I kept like B average, you know, C plus to B average. I wasn't a straight A, but I was C plus B. I wasn't cutting until I really got in the dope game. But
Mm.
yeah, when I went to school, I'll be with certain dudes like T Lo and all them. They like class clowns. I get in there and I ignore them. I shut down as soon as I go in school. Don't even talk to me. I'm into my schoolwork. Like I was a real nerd in school. You know what I mean? But when I leave out, yeah, I'm Black Chris
Mm.
for sure.
Yeah, I was the opposite. I was wilding out in school.
Yeah, nah, not me. I was cool. The teachers loved me.
That's
Yeah,
good though.
I
That's
was real
good.
cool.
Education is everything,
Yes,
man. That's
sir.
tight. Okay, so to go into kind of the music side of things, do you remember your first recording session and like what that was like?
Um, yeah. The first day I had bought the equipment when Budweiser had me, we went around shopping, going to all the pawn shops.
That was where
Um,
the good equipment was.
that's just what I could. We didn't know too much at the time. We didn't know about like Guitar Center, so we trying to
Oh.
figure it out on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And when Budweiser came to me to buy the equipment, you know, because I was having money when I was young. I was like 16, 17, really outside hustling and getting my
Mm.
money. And I wasn't even thinking about rapping. Budweiser was the rapper in our neighborhood, you know,
Mm.
so he came to me like, bro, once you invest, you know, help out, invest into some equipment, let's go, you know, get some equipment or whatnot. I didn't know what to buy. I said, if you know what to buy, we can go get it. So we had a dude in the neighborhood named Double B. He was there and he was just like, man, I know everything to get. So he had me going to buy turntables and I bought an SB12, a Dr. Rhythm beat machine. I bought a Yamaha 4-track, and then I bought a couple Casio little cheap keyboards, and that's pretty much what we started with. And yeah, they didn't. Double B said he knew how to work the equipment, but he didn't know none. He didn't know how to work. That's really how I got into music, doing beats, because I was just an investor. You know what I mean? I was just going to
Right.
buy the stuff. But when we got back to my house, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He looking at the RCA plugs, the quarter inches, trying to figure out what go to what.
Well, I was
And
gonna say too, people didn't have YouTube back then, so you had to
nah,
figure it
you
out
had
on
to
your
go. Nah,
own.
you had to go back to the pawn shop, and hopefully they knew about it because usually they just take equipment in and sell it. But it
Mm.
was a dude down there on Mission Street. We went to him. He was like, "Yeah, man, it's color coordinated. Look at the back. See the yellow plug. You know, you
Mm.
plug the RCA into that. The red one going to here, and this your ins and outs. Outs is the ones that go out into the speaker, so you hear the music coming out. Input is where you want your instruments going in. So once he showed me that, I was just like, "Oh, okay,
This
I
was the
get it."
pawn shop guy.
Pawn shop guy, man, we lucked up. He knew about it. You know
Shout
what I
out to
mean?
the pawn shop guy, because there might
Yeah.
not have been a Black Sea without that.
Yeah, hey,
You might
for
have never
real.
got it working.
For real. I think it was like an Indian dude, man. And
That's
yeah, he knew
crazy.
about it. And he showed me about the MIDI plugs. Like if you want to connect your equipment, you plug in the MIDI. And I was just like, man, I'm looking at my keyboards. I'm like, man, I don't got MIDI on the back of this. He's like, yeah, you got to get a better keyboard, because I had the little Casios with just the quarter inches coming out of them. So I went back, upgraded. Well, I played with that one for a minute, because we played live. I remember for about a week or two, we had to play, like if we wanted to rap for 2-3 minutes, I had to play the keyboard for 3 minutes straight live.
Wow.
It wasn't no looping and all that going
Wow.
on. So yeah, we had to actually play until I figured out that the SB12 actually had a sampler on it.
Did you have a background in piano at all, or you just were just going?
Nah, I just was just going off of ear. I'm playing with one
fire.
hand, hitting 3-4 notes, until you get a little beat. We hit the drum, and what helped was the Dr. Rhythm drum machine already had presets in it where you could just hit it, and you could slow the tempo down, speed it up. And yeah, we just used them drums, and I just play a couple of notes over it, and I play it on the one track. And we only had 4 tracks at the time, so I had the drums going in one, the piano going in one, and then my boy showed me how to do them overdubs, to where you record the piano and the drums over to the next track, so now them freeing up another 2 tracks. Then you play, your strings or whatever, and then you record them with the drums and all that. You mix it, and then you record that all over into one track. So you just keep freeing up tracks as you keep overdubbing. You know what I mean? So,
but then you can't go back, right? Say
if you mess up, you got to start over.
Woo!
Yeah. But you always had that one track. So if you going through, the only thing used to be fucked up if you going through 2-3 minutes,
Right.
you hit the wrong note. But we used to leave that shit. We wasn't tripping. People didn't even care in the hood, man.
Yep.
They was loving that shit. We put that shit out. It didn't even quantized, all off beat, hitting the wrong notes. They didn't care.
But it was going though. It was tight.
Oh yeah, that shit was dope. We had some dope ass shit. Like people was coming to the house. Once we got used to, I say we was doing that for about a good week or two. And then me, T-Lo, my boy T-Lo was like the Ice Cube in the hood. Once we did a song called T-Lo Got It Going On, that kind of set it off for us. We put that out in the hood, and they started going crazy, and we started thinking about, man, let's go and sell this stuff, And my brother came to me like, man, you know what? We got the dual deck. Let's go to the Radio Shack, get the TDKs and Memorex tapes, and we just was in there all night just dubbing. We had about maybe 5-6 songs with Budweiser. It was like a compilation before compilations where I had
And this was what, to tape, or what was this?
It was the tape. Yeah, so we had I had the master cassette, and then I would just had the other tape, and then we, just record the little, single, whatnot, go get the little 20-minute tapes, and we record our whole little session, our songs on there, and go outside and sell them for $5, using the Too Short concept.
So let me take it back just a little bit. When you're in a studio session, Black Sea's in a studio session back in the day, what does this look like? There's a mic in the living room? What is that?
Yeah, it was in my bedroom.
Okay.
My mom gave me her master bedroom.
Okay.
It was a little bit bigger, so she swapped out, gave me her master bedroom. I moved up in there, took her stereo, had all her records. Yeah, we should just be in there all night. Yeah, we just had a regular microphone. It was like a microphone that you'd be on the stage with.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have a real, condenser mic or
Yeah.
nothing like that. We didn't get into that till later on when we met TC, but we had a little regular, little cheap little microphone from Radio Shack. We didn't even go to get one from the pawn shop because it was a little expensive until I started, learning about quality and, like I said, MIDI and different keyboards, weighted keys. And I'm like, okay, I got to upgrade. But we worked that stuff for at least a couple months.
That's
It
crazy.
was good.
Just learning how to do it on your own. No tutorials, no extra help. That's wild. So you spoke on TC. So let me go into that a little bit, because I was when I was doing my research, he said, and shout out to TC. I know him personally as well. Shout out to him. Legendary producer. He said something that you would bring him records for samples back then. Is that true? Like you'd be like, here, check this out?
Well, no, what it was is I had records that I wanted to sample. I just didn't have enough sampling time.
Okay.
Like when we got the TC, like I only had 2.5 seconds on the 2.4 seconds on the SB1200.
That's the amount of time you can sample?
Yeah, 2.4 seconds. So that's like 1, 2, and some change. You know what I mean?
I was going to say it's like 1 bar, maybe, or something.
If that. Yeah, but what we used to do is we'd speed that shit up. We'd put the record on and we speed it up hella fast where it sound like chipmunks. So we get it in there so you get a little bit more and then you slow it down. You know what I mean?
Bro,
Once you
that
get
is
in the
straight
sample.
science. That is
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I mean, that's what you had to do. And I figured that out. So I was able to turn 2.4 seconds into maybe like 4 seconds.
Wow.
So I got a little bit more of the sample. I might get that, and like I said, get that on the 4-track, get another piece of the sample, put it on track 2, and then I'll try to blend them, you know, because the SB12 at least was quantized and it'll loop it to where, you know, I can at least, I ain't got to worry about the sample playing off beat. So
Yeah.
made it a little bit easier. So yeah, but to get back to TC, that question, what I did was once I got down to TC's, Budweiser found TC. We found his studio. We was like looking for the studio where IMP recorded at because all their music was the quality of it was just immaculate. So you know, we as fans of IMP are cool nothing them. So what we did was find out where he recorded at. It was at I believe it was Bankroll Studio, if I ain't mistaken. It might be Bankroll Studio, but it was over in Lakeview. TC was like, "Nah, I'm moving back over to Hunters Point. I'm bringing equipment. You know, give me about a week or so to set up." We got down there, TC had an Emax that sampled like 30 seconds. So instead of me sampling at my studio, which I had a couple songs done by then, this was probably, I was maybe like 8, 9 months in to producing, so I knew a lot more. I was a little bit better.
Right.
I had a whole bunch of songs that I wanted to sample. I had like a lesson to be learned. I had Bitches on the Ding Dong. I had More Like an Orgy.
And these are like the samples used for those were
they was for my
songs.
solo.
But
I was
yeah,
going to be a solo artist, so them was like all my songs.
But those samples that you brought in were old school records, right?
Oh yeah, they was records.
So
they
what
was
are those
like,
from?
yeah.
Those were from like the 60s?
Yeah, like nah, they was like the Bitches on the Ding Dong was from George Clinton.
Oh wow. Okay.
More Like an Orgy was from George Clinton. Theme from the Black Hole. And then you had like A Lesson to Be Learned was from Sugar Hill Gang.
Okay.
And then we had Bamberweed from Marvin Gaye. So I had those samples, but I couldn't finish them. And then I had an idea for sort of like a psycho. I was using third bass, Step Into the AM.
Okay.
I always liked that beat. So, but I couldn't get everything. So I had it looping a little bit. But when I just said I'm gonna save everything when I go to TC. So when I went to TC, I brought all my records. And I just went crazy when I seen how much time he got. So TC was a master with chopping samples and putting them on beat. I used to just loop them. And if they go, you know, because back then they playing live, so
they
you
had the drums on it and the instruments.
But it'll veer off though because of the quantizing, because they playing live. They not playing on on the 2 and the 4 and the 2 and the 4. They veering off because they in the studio recording live. So you're not gonna be on point.
Right.
So what TC did is he know how to chop it at the snare or the clap and put it inside the machine where it's quantized at and put it on the right clap. So he was a magician with that shit.
I was gonna say both you guys sound like magicians.
Nah, but he was a way like some steps up ahead from me. So I got there and was just like, man, he just appreciated my ear for it, like knowing like samples I was finding, like damn, like that's hard as hell. I'd be like, man, I want to blend. I want the salt and pepper coming in over the Step Into the AM, and I want to put
see it before it happened.
Yeah, I was hearing it in there. So I was like, man, I want the Ohio players like the burning, burning, burning. And he was like, oh, okay. So he'd chop it up, and I didn't realize all that stuff wasn't the same tempo. So like I appreciated TC for knowing how to blend it all and make it like nowadays, you know, you got programs that do it for you, but TC had to really make it work. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Like, yeah.
No wonder he's a DJ. Like,
and he raw as hell.
But he's also like that house that you guys started out over there. Is that still the one that he's at? Like nowadays, I mean,
the one that we started in was a different one. I think he moved. Yeah, he in a different garage now.
That was still Hunters Point though, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think he was like across the street, if I ain't mistaken.
Yeah, because I went there one time and there was hella people up there recording, it was like a whole community.
That's how it was up in there. Like even on my first album, it's like UDI. 11-5 before they was groups, they all in there while we recording. They all in the garage hanging out drinking.
Wow.
Like E-Sick from Cold World Hustlers. He them coming in, what you gonna do that shit for? You know, lay your punk on Sort of Like a Psycho. Like they all was in there. Like when we did the Lesson to Be Learned, bitch, I thought you knew. That's all everybody up in there. You know, that's probably a little bit of UDI, a little bit of Cold World Hustlers, a little bit of 11-5. It's like Fly Mar up in there. Like
So
it's a
as
whole
far
bunch
as,
of us.
was it hard to record in that setting? Like, were people
Nah,
quiet?
hell no, you was pumped. But they knew when it's starting to record, everybody got quiet. You know,
Okay, yeah.
Tia be like, man, y'all be quiet, we about to record. And
Uh-huh.
everybody shut the hell up. You know what I mean? Because we wasn't doing no punches either. We was doing all the way through. You fuck up. We got a lot of fuck ups on that album that people don't know about.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I hear them.
Yeah.
I know where I said the wrong word or whatever, but people so used to it, we left it.
It
You know
damn
what
near
I mean?
makes it better though.
Yeah.
When you have like those little pieces that you can like, and that's what I feel like when you were talking about the samples, like the old school music that was like live, people were playing drums. That wasn't looped or nothing. That was all live shit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
All
like
live.
little things would be off, and I think that's what makes that's cool shit for like music history
Yeah, it
too.
is. Yeah, it is.
So to go a little bit into like the RBL side of things,
Mm-hmm.
what was the promotional process? I mean, you guys, let's actually start here. So as far as RBL getting formed, like when did you first meet Mr. C and Hitman? And I know, so who were the members of RBL Posse? Let's go with that
RBL
first.
Posse was just Black C and Mr. C.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, we brought Hitman in. I just put Hitman on it and tried to bring Hitman in to set him up for his solo career because Hitman was a different type of rapper. He was like comical, like he was hood, but he just his punchlines and his metaphors was different. It comes from like cartoons and cereal and commercials. Like it was funny. So I was just using RBL to launch him.
Right,
You know,
right. It's kind of
now
like a
he played a
collective.
bigger part once we lost Mr. C, but he was never in the group. You know what I mean? I always made sure to try to make sure he was separate, keep him separate, because he was just too dope to be in any type of group. You know, we wanted to keep him by himself. You know.
So as far as you meeting them both, well, so let's start with Mr. C. So how did you and him meet?
Mr. C, I met him through T-Lo. T-Lo was an artist that Herm Lewis put out. He put him out a little bit after us, but T-Lo was the one I was telling you earlier was like the Ice Cube of the neighborhood. Before I was rapping, I was just doing all his beats and like he was so dope to me. Like T-Lo was just freestyle. And back then we were so used to not having paper in there. I was probably one of the first ones besides Budweiser who was actually writing. You know what I mean? But T-Lo and them just get in there and just rap a whole story, freestyle it. They was doing the stuff Jay-Z and them doing now, but we were so used to it. I kind of like appreciate it and respect it now. But back then, him and my brother Dre and them, they was doing that shit nonstop. You know, every song we put out in Hunters Point was a freestyle that they did.
Let's clarify that though, because I think things have come full circle in the game now where everybody's freestyling. They weren't doing punch-ins back then though, right? Were they just going with it and freestyling?
That's what I say, 2-3 minutes straight, just rapping.
Wow.
They'll rap from hook to hook. You know what I mean?
That's a crazy
really, we
energy.
weren't even counting bars, so we'd just rap until he stopped.
Until the beat
and then
goes
we
out?
then we put the hook right there. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of like how we did it. You know, so he was doing long ass verses though. They was well over 24 bars.
Wow.
I know when we started once we got the TC, we learned how to count bars. The TC was like, you got to do 24 bars. This is before it dropped down to 16s. It got easier on the second album, but the first album, all our songs is probably 5 minutes to 6 minutes long. You know what I mean? With Bammer, we 4 verses, and they all 24 bars.
24
you know what I mean?
bars.
Yeah, a lesson to be learned. I got 2 24s. Mr. C ended with a 24. We was just doing 24 bar verses. That's what we learned until 94 came in, and everybody started chopping it down to like 16s and stuff.
So as far as to go back to the RBL thing, so when you and Mr. C came together as far as making that group, do you remember when it was first like, okay, we're making this a group?
Yeah. I remember when he came up there. I was working on the solo. Like I said, I had Bammer. It was called "Don't Give Me No Bammer Joint." We don't smoke that shit in Hunters Point. I had that one. I had a song called "What About My Niggas," where I named everybody in the hood. I had "Rolling Through the Turfs" of HP. I had "A Lesson to Be Learned," and I had "More Like an Orgy." And I had them songs already ready to go. And I had the beat. I was going to do the Bitches on the Ding Dong. It wasn't called that. I just had the beat.
That's a crazy song name.
Yeah, so I had those, and I just got cold feet. I just got nervous doing it, want to do it myself because.
Was that the Shy Black C coming out of it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be the front man because I really wasn't I didn't feel like I was a rapper at the time because I was really kind of the beat man, you know what I mean? So I got nervous and I asked T-Lo to come to the studio with me. I was like, man, let's be a group. You know, I got these songs. And like I said, T-Lo was the Ice Cube of the neighborhood, so he didn't really want to do it with me. He had bigger plans to, you know, it was a lot of dudes around the neighborhood who wanted to put him out, man. T-Lo hard, T-Lo raw. So he had Herm Lewis, a few people offering to put him out, offering him money. So he didn't want to link up with me. He was just like, nah, but I know somebody, you know, this girl I mess with, you know, my girlfriend, she got her brother. That's all he do is rap. You know, he lyrical. I think you'll like him. And he brought him up the next day. And I made a song with him called Hit Squad New Jack. And cause we was called the Hit Squad. That was the name of RBL before we became RBL. We was calling everybody in the studio the Hit Squad. And I had him make a song, and he was just lyrical. He dropped a bunch of lyrics, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna bring him with me to the studio. I was like, bro, you ready to just come to the studio with me? And he was just like, hell yeah.
How old were you guys at this point?
Like 17 or 18, 17.
Wow,
I just got a log cabin, so
18.
yeah, about 18. I was about 18. Mississippi was probably 17, something like that.
And I've been hearing a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but when I do my research on you about the log cabin thing, what is that? Is that like boys camp?
Yeah, that's like a boys juvenile facility where you go do like
it's like YA.
It's like a year program. No, it ain't like YA.
Oh, okay.
YA is that's where I was supposed to go.
Okay.
But I got a lawyer that got me to log cabin. Log cabin is it's sort of like if you got the penitentiary, but then you got like the fire camp.
Yeah.
And people go to the fire camp where it's more free. You can run if you want to.
Right.
You know, so it's like that. You know, the boys ranch.
Got you.
Up in La Honda, it's like out there.
Out the way.
Yeah, like a Half Moon Bay pathway, probably another 45 minutes to an hour past Half Moon Bay.
And you spent a year in there?
Nah, if you do good, you can get out early. You go in a halfway house called the transition home. It's called the transitional house. So I only did maybe like about 9 months there. 8.
And you went back to the city?
Came back over on Guerrero Street over there by the little Kentucky Fried Chicken over there. Like almost by VG's. It's like sort of like by VG's projects. Yeah, but go back to Mr. C. So I ended up taking him to TC's with me. And we ended up reworking Bammer Weed to Bammer Joint to Bammer Weed. And that's when we just started going crazy in the studio. And as far as Hitman, he came along in 93, right before we was about to start working on the Ruthless by Law album. My boy Mars is a youngster who stayed in my neighborhood who bought a studio like mine. Well, he used to hang out in my studio, and then he kind of like had a copycat studio. He'd see everything I got, and he'd go buy everything that I got.
Still in the sauce.
Yeah, which was cool, you know, because I was doing the same thing with TC. You know, I learned, I'm over at TC, like, okay, I need an Apple computer, Atari computer, I need this. So I was copying everything TC had. My studio mimicked TC studio, and then we got the enhancer. Me and TC pretty much copied Enhancer Studio. So, and he did the same thing. You know, I bring him the game, and he had all the younger dudes who wasn't at my studio. They was all at his studio. He was like the mini Black C. So, you know, he had like Alias and them, NOH Mafia, Hitman. Like he brought me the whole right way. The whole label really came from him, you know. So I give Mars like his props. Like he had everybody over there, all the talent. So
Can I ask you this real quick before you go a little deeper? Back then, what was the percentage of people you kicked it with that were rappers? Was there a lot of rappers back then, or was it barely, right?
Nah, rappers was rare back then.
Yeah.
Coogna was only rapper. Like, people became rappers because I had the studio. You know, we had dudes like Herb Young and them. It was a few in the neighborhood who was considered rappers. Herb Young, and this dude named Katie Bow. He was raw. Them was the only two rappers besides Budweiser and T-Lo. That was pretty much it. Everybody else became rappers once they had access to my studio. They come in there and freestyle, you know, and
because everybody raps now. So to think about those days, it wasn't also as accessible either.
Nah, and plus it was harder to come out with a tape. Like if you came out with a cassette, people like that shit was hard to do. You thought you had to go to Hollywood to come out with a cassette.
Right.
You know, so that's why you looked at dudes who had cassettes as like stars. That's why everybody respected Coognut. You know, because he had an actual cassette out. He was out, and people was able to put him in your cassette deck and play him. So you looked at Coognut as a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, and then I figured out how to do it, and it was off to the races from then.
Yeah. So as far as with the first album, right, which is
Mm-hmm.
Lesson to Be Learned, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What was the because you guys hit the Billboard charts with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was like the promotional process of making an album hit the billboards back then? Like, what was that?
It was good music. We didn't do nothing. We just
Okay.
everybody was just bamming weed. It just word of mouth.
And it
You
just
know,
spread
it
that
spread.
crazy.
I mean, to help an Independent Records, you had to have a distributor because we
Right.
was local.
Which is like Empire today, which would be something like
Exactly.
that,
You
right?
gotta, we just end up going over there. They had Totally Insane over there. I would have probably been local and stayed local, but what happened was I ended up getting with TC. I knew they was over there, and I had pressed up like 5,000 albums, and once I got them cassettes, all them boxes, I was just like, I just couldn't see myself selling all the motherfuckers on consignment and leaving them in stores. It was gonna take too long, so TC ended up bringing me to Independent Records. When I got over there, Jason was already waiting for it. He was like, man, I've been getting hella calls about this album and people asking me, do I have it and all that. So he ended up offering us, he ended up offering to buy all of them from me, cat COD. So he offered me the 25,000 for the 5,000 cassettes. And then he offered me an additional 10,000 to actually sign with him, an exclusive deal. So I jumped right on that shit. You know.
Yeah, I read that too about the 10,000.
Yeah, I didn't even care about the deal. I didn't care. I could have been signing over everything. I was just trying to get that money and just hit the block. I was trying to go buy some dope. I was trying to go straight, try to go buy me a brick and get it going. That's it.
So I guess that's a good transition to this next question. So when that record dropped, did you see like a crazy change in your lifestyle as far as even just living in SF, or like no?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was lifestyle didn't change, but it was just like the appreciation for me being an artist. It was different. You know what I mean? When you going down, when you on 3rd Street, you know, and people riding up and down 3rd Street, and you hear your music, and I knew my music because we had a real distinctive that P-Funk clap I used to use, and the hi-hats, the way TC mixed it, I knew it. Even when we used to go to Oakland, we go out to Eastmont Mall or somewhere, cars coming by, slapping that shit. And I knew we was on once Oakland was playing it. You know what I mean? I kind of felt Frisco was gonna fuck with it, but when Oakland started fucking with it, I knew it was on for us.
Did you feel like it was like at a certain point, like you seen it getting bigger than just you? Like you felt like that energy was coming back to you guys, like in that sense?
Yeah, hell yeah. That's what I said. Once you start traveling and people playing it, and you all of a sudden you start getting calls and people looking for, Jason and them telling us like, you need management. People calling us trying to book you and this and that. So we end up hiring a manager, and all of a sudden, we start heading out of town to Seattle's and Portland's and Detroit, and that's when I knew. Once we traveled on our first show and we got like 4,000 for a show, that's when I woke up. Once I left San Francisco, because I thought I never really traveled really too far out of Bay Area, maybe Oakland, Eastmont Mall, go to Granny Goo Goo's, Oxford Street or something, going to go shopping or something, or maybe out, like I said, Tanforans or Ceremonies or something, but we never really went nowhere. I think the farthest we had traveled probably was Reno. We'd drive up there, young as hell, fucking off.
Usual Bay Cat story. Like I know a couple people that ain't never been out of Richmond.
But you be used to it. You be in that bubble and don't even think about it because it be so fun.
Yep,
everything is right there. You got everything you need, so you don't really even trip, And plus, Frisco big. You got all the way in the Sunset area, Pier 39. Like it's so many places just to travel in the city alone, so you don't even think about it until you start getting on them planes and moving on. Then you be like, okay, the world way bigger than just Hunters Point or Frisco. So it opened up my eyes, and that's when I really took the music seriously. I wasn't tripping off of selling dope no more. It was like, fuck that dope game now. These rap checks is coming in different. You sit out there all day, maybe make 1,000. You risking your life and all that. Police, you running, you constantly throwing your dope. Just all type of shit. Dope fiends burning off on you. It's just hella shit going on just to make that, $300-$400 profit.
Yep.
You might spend $700. You make 11. You make 400 off that 7 that you invested or whatever off each zip, but it's taking time, and then you just get one rap check, boom. 7,000, boom, 4,000. It's just coming in, and it's like it's for something that you love doing. You having fun doing.
You ain't gotta risk your life. Risk your freedom.
At all. And you having fun doing it. People yelling your name, they screaming when you're on stage. That adrenaline kicked in. It was just like, man, this is the life right here. This is me. This is my calling.
Hell yeah. So even with like the Ruthless by Law album, when that came out, you guys hit the Billboard, I guess at number 22. Is that kind of the same thing? It was just a process of like people were just into the music that much that it just built and built and built.
Yeah, we was a little nervous with that album because it was different. You know, we was going from the samples. You know, we was doing samples at first. We was you know, the whole first album was all samples that we did, and then we end up switching over because of them withholding payment on the samples, us not clearing a lot of the samples. We end up converting over to playing our music. So even like on the Herm compilation that came out in '93, Trying to Survive in the Ghetto, that the I Got My Nine we did on that, we wanted to use the sample. The actual real song that we did was over a sample. But when we got to once we started getting hit with, you know, they start withholding our funds, we was like, man, we're going to play everything over. We're going to do interpolation. So that's when we end up playing it over and switched up our style a little bit. And when we dropped it on, that was like a single. So we that was like testing the waters when we put the song on her compilation. When people ate it up, they loved it. That's when we knew, okay, we had something. So we was like, man, okay, we got to really put something together. We got to kind of try to outdo this first album, because first album is pretty much a classic. We was out damn near 2 years. Yeah, it was about 2 years, going on 3 years, just pushing the album and touring on an album. So
that's crazy. But also, I mean, it's something to be said, like to hit the Billboard charts on the first one and then to even go higher, I believe, right? On the second one.
Yeah,
like that's pretty wild.
Did good.
Yeah. So that's insane. So after that project, the Ruthless by Law one, Mr. C passed, rest in peace. You and Hitman continue to make music. Was that still like RBL as far as you and him? Was that still the same thing? Or it was just
he was standing in. We just was like gonna leave it up to. We didn't care what people assumed he was in it, and we wasn't gonna argue. You know, during interviews, we were gonna be like, nah, he not really in it. So we just let people
make
think
it hella
whatever.
Difficult.
Yeah, we just let people think what they want. But I never had him under contract as RBL. He never was on Atlantic. I signed directly to Atlantic as Black C.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know, as far as being part of RBL. So yeah, you know, but he was gonna be on every song damn near, or majority of them anyway, because I was setting up his career, because his 95 album did so good. You know, he had sold like over 120, like almost 150,000 units out the trunk. You know, and I sold them tape for tape, or CD for CD at the time. So he did so good. So it was only right to just set him up. Now I've got a major label. I'm getting that major exposure. Let me put Hitman out there majorly so we can get his solo career going on. So that's really all that was me setting him up for his solos to drop.
That's so tight that you did that too, because a lot of us don't have a Black C to do some shit like that, like help us to get a little higher up.
Right.
So that is super, super dope of you. So you guys were making music, of course. There was a collab with Big Lurch and Mystikal. What's that song called?
How We Coming.
So how did that collab come about between you guys?
Mystikal that came out to do us. I was at the time I was going over there to get some beats from Mike Mosley, and Mike Mosley didn't really have nothing for me. Every beat I was in there picking was Rick Rock, so Mike Mosley ended up putting me with Rick Rock. He was just like, bro, every beat you picking, you know, it's pretty much Rick Rock beats. So what I'm gonna do is just get you and get him in there, and y'all just work together, and, you know, I'll just oversee everything, you know, mix, do whatever. And I was like, all right. So he put me in the studio, Rick Rock. Me and Rick Rock just meshed and started, you know, he pretty much did almost half the album, I believe, or more. And while we was working, he ended up, he landed a song or two with Mystikal. And Mystikal came over there one day when we was doing a session, and me and him just clicked. I told him the story how I got one of my boys from New Orleans. A dude from New Orleans moved down into our projects, and me and him got hella tight. He had stayed next door to my kid's mom, and he brought Mystikal tape, a little black and white tape, looked like he climbing out the sewer or some shit. And I was the first one over there with it, so I was bumping it and put hella people on. So I told him about that, and we clicked, and he came and camped out at my house, and we ended up he ended up doing How We Coming with me. And then when I brought it back, when he did his vocals, Big Lurch wasn't even on the song. He wasn't supposed to be on it, but Big Lurch ended up coming over to me and was just like, bro, Mystikal, I'm a big ass fan of Mystikal. Like, man, let me get on this song. He was supposed to get on. I was gonna let him and Dooney and them get on it. You know, as far as a Cosmic Slop Shop, what they was at the time. I was gonna let him. I was gonna do a song with him, but he just pressed me to get on that. That boy was just, you know, he didn't want to let off. He was just like, man, I need to get on this one, Black. And I was like, nah, man, it's gonna be too long. It's, you know, just me, Hitman, and Mystikal. You know, it's gonna be our single and this and that. And he was like, man, let me just write the verse and let you hear it. And he let me hear it. It was just undeniable. I was just like, damn, all right, we're going to have to just chop our verses to 12s and shit, you know. So I think I'm the only one chop mine. Everybody else still got them long-ass 16 bars, though. I think I'm the only one that chopped. Hitman shit was long. Mystikal shit was long. We went back to back, but yeah, we was all, yeah, I ended up chopping my verse and let Lurch come behind me, put Hitman in front of Mystikal, and it ended up working out.
That's crazy. Yeah, such a piece of history watching that music video. And that music video is pretty crazy. Can you talk a little bit about filming that and what, you know, where was that filmed and the process behind that?
Yeah, that was my boy too. Mike Myers. He big time producer too, man. Shooting stars. He did our Bammerweed first video.
Okay.
And what was so crazy is when we went down there to shoot that video, it was him again.
You guys were in LA or what?
Yeah, we did it in LA. It's like a big old film studio where they got like courtrooms set up, jail cells, apartment, like it's hella different studios in there that you could use to shoot. Yeah, it was like a big ass warehouse. And yeah, we went down there. What's so crazy is he did the song for damn near free. I just threw him $2,000 Mystikal, but
okay.
To get him to come to the video, we had to pay his ass like $10,000
appearance fee
because he got with Master P. You know, Master P, Will and Diller. He's like, hey, Black, it ain't you. I ain't charging you. You know, you my homie, but I'm charging the label. And I'm like looking at P like, P, I gotta recoup that shit. What you talking about? You charging me? You charging my budget? And he was just like, nah, I'm just getting the 10,000 from them, man. You know, Mystikal already did it for nothing. He said, so, you know, I'm just trying to squeeze that 10 up out of Atlantic.
Oh my brother, on the back end, though.
Yeah. I mean, he got it from him, you know. Like you said, I had to recoup the shit, but we needed him, you know, we needed that because it was a hot song, you know. And
how did that video process go though? You guys paid for that, or that was the label, or how
that was the label? Not a label, all that, you know, we was on Atlantic, Big Beat Atlantic, so they covered everything.
But it was a huge production too, right?
Huge production.
So what was that process like?
You know, I guess with them it's when back then, you know, shooting with them fucking 32 millimeters, 16 millimeters or whatever, you know, it was like a movie, damn near. The way we pulled up to the set, you know, it was the movie. You had they had the clothes laid out for us, jail clothes for the jail scenes.
Big team of production.
Yeah, they had the dudes playing the COs. And I mean, it was like being on a movie set. It was crazy. It was dope. You know,
it looked like a movie.
Yeah, it was my first time experiencing something like that because when Mike did Bammerweed, it wasn't like it wasn't that big. They just jumped out with their little 16 millimeter, shot it, and that was that. You know, it was pretty much how dudes running around nowadays. You know, they just had their camera and shot.
Point and shoot.
Yeah, point and shoot. That's it.
How long did it take to film that music video?
We probably started in the morning, didn't stop until maybe about 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So one day.
It was one day. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was going to be like a.
Now they did other stuff like post, like the art stuff where it turned into like a cartoon or something, or like a piece of artwork or something. Like they did a bunch of other stuff like in post, but as far as how us shooting in the jail and the CO and fighting in the child hall type shit or whatever, all that shit was done all the same day. It was just like about 7, 8, maybe 8, 9 hours we shot.
How was it working with Big Lurch?
Difficult a little bit, you know. That nigga he started tripping and shit. He thought he was Mystikal, you know, and he was cool. Like I said, he begged, he pressed me to get on. It was just like, okay, I'll end up letting him on that. And then all of a sudden we get down there, he hear about us paying Mystikal extra 10,000. And this motherfucker tried to hold us hostage like he wasn't gonna be in the video unless we give him slight, like, man, I heard Mystikal got 10. Think y'all can give me 5,000? And he started we was hearing it through the little grapevine, like, man, Lurch saying that he might not shoot. And I was like, nigga, if you don't get in this video, I will cut your ass off right now. We will edit that song, nigga,
Yep.
and we'll be back down
And
here
you got a
tomorrow. We
longer
got to
verse than me.
postpone this motherfucker. Yeah, he pissed me off a little bit, you know what I mean? And then he had my niggas down there wanting to do something to him, you know what I mean? I had to, tell everybody to kind of pipe down, like, man, let's just chill. Let me just holler at him. And Blurch was like, man, my bad, Black. I'm a shoot it. I just thought I can get a few more dollars out of it. Like, nigga, you already here. You here for free.
Right.
Now you hear about Mystikal. Now all of a sudden you want to try to charge the budget. Nigga, you gonna get, man, don't play with me. You know what I mean? So, but we ended up working out. We halfway decent now. You know what I mean? We cool.
Nice. And then also the same with Mystikal. How was that working with him? You guys were already cool, right?
Yeah, Mystikal was cool, man. It was love, man. And when he, like I said, he came out, camped out at the house, was in my little studio. We in there coming up with the ideas, listening to beats.
What area were you in back then?
I was in Antioch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just bought my house in Antioch, so he came.
Mystikal in Antioch. Okay.
Yeah, we was in Fairfield. Mike Mosley's studio was in Fairfield. So we ended up leaving from Fairfield. He ended up leaving with us and riding with us and came to my house, hung out all day, camped out, and we went back to the studio the next day out in Fairfield. Like he was cool. Like Mystikal was down to earth, cool, man. I ain't got no complaints about Mystikal. I got love for him to this day.
Since then, you've released 7 other projects, including the City of Gods, Still Ruthless, Black Caesar, and most recently the Black Album. Can you go into your music making process while creating an album? Do you have like a certain way you go about it?
No, it's just vibing, just the beat take me there. Like it's just all in the moment. You know what I mean? Like the Last Man Standing was a moment when it was pretty much I was the last person in the group. Hitman had passed away. Mr. C was gone, and it was with like the street shit we was involved in. Everybody was in jail. A lot of dudes got picked up from Big Block. A lot of dudes on our side got picked up, went to jail. So that's all. It's kind of like my albums is kind of based off of what's happening at the time, or
it's like a timepiece.
Yeah, or it might be themed. You know what I mean? Like always, like City of Gods was more like the beats I was dealing with at the time sounded more like third world beats. I'm using a bunch of like African sounds, and I put like you Steel Pulse, some reggae vibes in there and all that. So that's where that vibe came from. Plus, I just had watched the movie City of Gods, and I got motivated off of that.
It's a dope movie.
Yeah, like 70s baby was just me. Same theme, just wanting to do something sort of like the Superfly, the black exploitation covers, so the album the cover is kind of like that, sort of like one of them old black exploitation films, like the Black Caesar cover, all that. And then Still Ruthless, I was pretty much going back to like the 90s. It was sort of like Ruthless by Law album. That's why the color of the Still Ruthless, that brownish tones, and it's sort of like the second album. Right. And I went back to the dudes from that era, like everybody that I featured on there, from Sibo, E40, Be Legit, Mac Mall,
Crazy,
Messy Marv, San Quinn, Andre Nicotina. Like a lot of them was all from that era. Marvelous, like all of them was from that 90s era. So I wanted to get back to that essence. So that's what that come from. And then once you get to like the Black album, my current albums, it's just more vibes, just going off of vibe pretty much,
Yeah, dope. Okay. Your book, A Part of Survival, was released in 2022, I believe. Yeah. What was it like creating that book? And was it like a super long process since you have such a long history?
It was only long because I was off and on with it. I started myself, so it was gonna take hella long with me doing it because I was trying to do this shit in like chronological order, starting from when I was 3 and going to 5 and 7 and 8 and all that shit. And it was taking way too long. I think when I got with Charles, he was just like, bro, that one piece that you put together is damn near like 2-3 chapters. You know what I mean? So you got to break it down. He said, you doing it. He said, I like the way you did it, but you got to break it down. And he said, well, I'm going to do it. Let's just finish it off with me and you just having a conversation. And it's more like an interview. So he made it way easier. So me and him would just get on the phone. So when I got with him, it only took really to get it all in. It only took maybe about a month or 2 to get everything, just to go over everything. Wow. But the process of putting it in chapters and pictures and all that. That it took about damn near 2 years.
Was
Just
that an
doing that.
enjoyable process for you?
Yeah,
Working
it
on
was
the book?
fun though. It
Yeah.
didn't even seem like it took that long because time was just going by. You don't really even think about it. You know, it's
Did it
just
bring up a lot of like old memories that you didn't even?
yeah.
It took a while to like come
Yeah,
up.
nah, because when I first did it, I did it mad. I was saying a lot of shit about people, and I had to go in and re-edit it. I had names in there, I had shit that probably could have incriminated me and other people. So
Yeah.
I read it, and I was just like, oh, no, let me edit this shit.
Revise.
Yeah, I revised it a couple times, So I was in my feelings, about a lot of people who I fell out with. So I was saying a lot of shit, and I just like, now let me revise that. Shit about Jason that in a minute, like I was just like, yeah, let me tone that down. So yeah, I end up. I like what I ended up with in
Definitely.
the end. Yeah.
I seen your interview on DJ Vlad. Can you go into the process of how that came about and also what your experience was like on the show?
Yeah, with DJ Vlad, it was cool. I was supposed to had already. This dude Herman was supposed to hook me up with Vlad. I was supposed to go there earlier that year, and I'm glad I didn't because uh, Booby ended up getting out and ended up going to Vlad, and that's what rushed my interview. But I was saving Vlad for my book and to promote one of my albums.
Mm.
And once Booby got out and he went on there and did the interview, he had kind of said a few little remarks that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I ended up reaching out to Herman and told him to get with Vlad and like, man, I need to go on there and tell my side. So that's kind of like how that happened. And as far as the experience with Vlad was cool. Like I didn't feel like how people say, oh, he the feds, he trying to incriminate.
Yeah.
Really, he was trying to be like a mediator and being like causing peace between us. Like he was really trying not to. Because I went down there with evil intentions. I was finna go down there and talk a bunch of shit, but then I ended up. So I got there, talked to Vlad, and I had my boy brother Jamo there. And they was just like, bro, you gotta take the high road. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? That's real though. Like I ain't finna go in there slandering everybody and, saying stupid shit. So I was just like, let me just say how I feel and how I
Tell the
felt
truth.
about his interview and how everything transpired throughout the whole fallout. And because there's two sides to every story. And then it's the middle, you know what I mean? So and that's pretty much what I did.
Yep. I've seen you and Larry June performing together a lot. Can you go into your history with him and how you guys connected?
Yeah, well, his father is like one of my best friends. We grew up together.
Mm.
So his father, his father name is Larry June, Larry Jr.
Oh, so it's Big Larry and Little Larry.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. His daddy is Larry Jr. And then June flipped the name to Larry June.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, his daddy is one of my close friends. Been knowing him since knee high.
Hmm.
Since I was out walking, running, getting on bikes, he was right there with us. He
From
stayed
the same area as you?
same projects. He
Oh,
was he
okay.
stayed across the street. His window faced my window. I
No
look out my
shit.
window and look to his room window. Yeah,
Okay.
we can look down. I can get out my window, Larry, and he look out his window. We right across from each other. His mom Margie and all them. She was somebody who can chastise us, spank us, and do like we all grew up real tight. So that's why Larry is really like nephew because I grew up with his family. Herm Lewis is his cousin. Like they all tight. You know what I mean? They got a big family.
Literally family.
Yeah, they real family. Herm Lewis and Larry Jr. and Larry June, they cousins and stuff. So yeah, we all from the same neighborhood, tight, grew up together, and that's how that relationship as far as came about when he started early on. Before even June, it was just Larry trying to do compilations. He was just trying to put together a compilation. He tried to invest
His
in the
pops or Larry June?
no, his pops, Larry
Okay.
Jr. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
so
what we
he was
called him
making
too.
stuff too.
Yeah, well, Larry Jr. I just say Big Larry.
Okay, Big
Yeah,
Larry.
because
Yeah,
we called
yeah.
him Larry June too. So,
Yeah.
but his daddy, he was doing compilations and he had the Pusher Man compilation. He was trying to invest in the Budweiser. This is before Larry, his son Larry June was even rapping.
Mm-hmm.
So he had I had HRD Records, which stood for Harbor Road, and he had the Road Records. You know what I mean? So we all was representing Harbor and everything. And yeah, it was always his dream. So once his son got old enough, he got him right in the studio, and you know he was bringing him around me. I had him on my, I believe it was the '70s Baby album was it, where he first kind of debuted as far as something with me, and then I ended up getting him on the E40 track, My Money Straight. You know, back then, and even E40 didn't know at the time who Larry was until now. Once I reposted it, he like, oh, you know, light bulb went in with 40 here, like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, that was Larry June. Like, he didn't put, back then he was Young June. You know what I mean? Back then he was Young June. So
Yeah.
now he, you know, he's ended up switching his name up. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a trip how everything worked out. You know
Yeah, and
what
I think it's pretty dope to see like you and him being connected in a way. It's like the new school and the old school in a sense. Is like because he's up there, you're up there. Like it's dope to see you guys work together and kind of bring
Yeah,
that
and what happened
together.
was too, like he really kind of got me back out because I was damn near, like semi-retired a little bit. Like I wasn't even really tripping off of doing music like that.
Yeah.
You know, I do a verse for people here and there if they come get a verse from me, but he came and got me for that Meet Me in Frisco song, and that kind of ignited like that whole little second win for me. You know what I mean?
That's fire.
Yeah, I wasn't even really tripping, and then he got me on that song. I did that. His fans like liked it. I started seeing all the hits I was getting and the followers going up, and I was just like, man, I gotta capitalize on this. So that's when I started working on my Black Caesar album and got him on the song with me. What's Happening, and then he came and got me again for I forgot the name of that album though, but what's that song that I'm on his other album, his second album? Organic Work. Yeah, there you go. DJ Fresh. I can't remember that song, but he by B&J. I can't remember the name of that album. He's been dropping so many, but he got me for Organic Work, and that did numbers. And
Numbers.
yeah, so I just been, you know, he got me back motivated just to start doing albums again. So I really give him the credit for that. Larry June kind of.
And he has, when he does shows, he brings you out to perform as well. What is that experience like?
Man,
to see it from where he came from to now.
Dope, because it's a lot of places and a lot of buildings he get me in that I wouldn't necessarily be in unless like if we'd have been there, if we would have lost Mr. C, for surely we'd have touched all them House of Blueses and everything. Like we'd be up there, I can almost guarantee you, with the Outcasts and Mobb Deeps and, you know, all the legendary groups right now, you know, but us losing Mr. C kind of stunted our growth. So by him kind of bringing me now, he bring me out, he put me in places that I normally probably wouldn't be in, you know what I mean, the Fox theaters, you know, up in House of Blues in Las Vegas. Like it's just so many like big theaters and venues that he having me come out in that I normally wouldn't be a part of, you know.
What is that experience like for those bigger venues? Is it pretty insane to like be up there?
Dope, hella dope, adrenaline rush, love it, you know. Fans yelling, the quality of the sound, you know, is way different than doing, you know, little small clubs and everything. You know, you're in there with the earpieces, just the way they work the communication between everybody, how they set it up, looking at the clock on the stage and where you seeing your time, you know, like it's dope.
You can't do nothing but keep going with the music stuff after that.
Yeah, that was motivation.
Keep it going.
That shit motivation like a motherfucker.
So you've proved that you continue to grow music-wise and you still have your own distinct sound. How do you feel about the music game in general these days?
It's just crowded, you know. It's, I mean, I like that it's easy, you know, as far as to put stuff out, but then I don't like it, you know what I mean? So I mean, it's just crowded. Ain't no more fans, you know what I mean? It's pretty much, it's like shit. Everybody rappers now, you know what I mean? You usually back in the days, you say you got something and people flocking to the stores and, you know, trying to go get it. Nowadays, you tell people you got shit, they want you to hear their shit. So it's like, you know, you selling to rappers. It's like, there ain't no more fans. You rarely find fans who really, so I'm kind of blessed to come in the era I came in because I got fans who kind of grew with us, you know what I mean? So the RBL fans is what's really keeping my Black Sea career going on. But if I had to start now in this era, this shit'd be hard. You got to, you know, you got to just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it stick, you know, hoping something just pop because it's so flooded, so crowded. Man, everybody and their mama, I'm talking about literally, and their mama and daddy is rapping for
So
real.
let me ask you this then. I mean, on kind of that note, as somebody who continues to be successful in the music stuff, what is your advice for younger artists to help them flourish over years and not just burn out?
Shit, don't quit their day job and just stay working and do the shit for fun, and I wouldn't even worry about trying to flourish. I just have fun with it, just stay working. That way it's a win-win. If it don't happen, you still got your job, you still eating, you still, or if music can become a career, if you end up hitting one out the park, then you can walk away from the job. You can go and walk in and tell your boss, kiss my ass, you know what I mean? So it's a win-win either way, but I wouldn't quit
That
my
part.
day job. Just stay doing what you're doing so you can have fun with the music. The music can stay your hobby. You just have fun and, go out and do shows when necessary, whatever. And
I think that's a huge myth that was taught to people. Like you can't chase your dream and have a 9 to 5.
yeah,
And I
you
think what
can.
you're saying right there is so important for the
Yeah,
younger
you
people to
can.
hear. Keep that
Yeah,
shit.
you can. Keep your job, especially if you got a good one. If you
You can
got a
finance
career,
both.
yeah, if you
You
got a
know.
career where you working like fucking for the city or something, or you doing
Mm-hmm.
got some more job you've been putting 10, 15 years in, transportation or something, working AC Transit or all these jobs, longshoremen or something, man, you working in a refinery, like where you getting them $40, $50 an hour jobs, man, you'd be a damn fool to quit that shit for the chase rap, hoping that you knock one out the park. You'd be a damn fool. Now you better keep getting that money, and on the weekend, on your days off, you can buy you a small setup, put in your room, and try to crank out some music. And if one pop, cool. And if not, shit, you still got your pension and your 401k or whatever, you good. You know what I
Protected.
mean? It's a win-win. So
That part. So as far as San Francisco goes, you've seen it. You've survived through a lot out there.
mhm.
Do you have any advice for the youth coming up in San Francisco, or just like the Bay in general, on how to move correctly?
um man, with your head on a swivel, that's really it. You just gotta watch everything, man. I mean, not even San Francisco. San Francisco, Oakland, Richmond, everything is the same. This shit is one big old piece of shit. So it don't really matter. You gotta just watch everything. No matter, I don't give a fuck if you in Oakland, Frisco, wherever. Unless your ass way out in Pinole, some motherfucking where. And niggas done probably infiltrated that shit by
They call it the
now.
Pinolia now.
See, that's what I'm saying. Now they call it, they got names for it and
Pinolia.
shit, or Hercules or something. I don't know. Maybe that motherfucker done got infiltrated too by motherfuckers, but I don't know, man. It don't matter where you at. You just gotta watch yourself. I mean, I moved out to Antioch back in '96, and it was like a damn near suburb out there. Now that motherfucker is the hood now. You know what
Sycamore
I mean?
Ave, all
So
that.
no matter where you go, people gonna follow because you're there. You know what I mean? I was one of the first ones in Antioch, and then Aunt Banks moved out there, and then Rappin' Forte and Richie Rich, and now it's just the whole Bay moved to that motherfucker now. Now that motherfucker is a big old TL, big old mixture of everybody from Richmond, Oakland, Frisco,
That is definitely
man,
the biggest variety hood I've ever been
man,
to.
everybody. Back at one time, everybody was going towards Vallejo,
Uh-huh.
Fairfield.
Now
They bust
Vallejo's
a
little Richmond.
U-turn. You know what I mean? They done bust a U-turn. Like, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
Antioch. You know what I mean?
Keep your
So
head on a swivel. I like that though.
that's it, man. Just move and be with caution, man. And I mean, there's so much shit going on, man. This is a big old, the whole Bay is Gotham City, man. You know what I mean?
What are your future projects you're working on right now? Like, what can we look forward to?
Um, the Joe Fresco album, the Ruthless album just dropped. That's like a G-Funk vibe. Like I said, the Black album dropped before that. I got a new album dropping in March called Heavy in It. It's just all me, no features. Um, I got another album that I'm working on with my boy C-Dub. Me and Joe Fresco kind of working on a part 2. We just dabbling with it.
Is that C Dub from SAC?
Nah, C-Dub is from Oakland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, CW the third. CW the third. Let me say his
Oh,
name
C
for
Dub. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, CW the
Shout out to
third.
him.
Yeah, I just call him C-Dub, but it's CW the third. Yeah, not the other C-Dub. I know you talking about. I got a couple songs with him and Manny.
Shout out to
Um,
CW too.
yeah, but that besides that, it's just shows. I got a bunch. This year's our 30th anniversary for the Ruthless by Law album, so we plan on doing sort of like an unplug with my
Dope.
boy Mojo, with Brandon Murio. This is his stuff too that I'm wearing.
Nice.
Yep, I work all his gear. Brandon Murio, we've been talking about it since early last year about doing sort of like
Unplugged, you mean like kind of live?
live. It's
Live
sort of like
instruments and stuff?
storytellers mixed with unplug, where I'm tell a story of how each song was produced, and
No
then we play
shit.
it live, and I perform the song and whatnot. So we doing that, trying to do that later on this year around November, December, because that's around the time that album dropped, Ruthless by Law. So it's the 30th anniversary for that. So I'm really just trying to prep for that, trying to find a good band that I can have, really get in there and lock in with and start doing rehearsals. But besides that, we got the new merch. I got some new merch pieces about to drop in the store right around 420. I got some new No Bammer designs. I got my 9. We got a design for that one for the 30th anniversary of the Ruthless album. So
All
I
types
got a
of
few
stuff.
designs that I'm sitting on. We got a San Francisco's greatest group T-shirt that I linked up with my boy Big Draws from 211 and put together.
Shout out Big Draws.
Yeah, so
That's
we got that. We got that tee we gonna release. So it's just, I'm just moving, man. That's pretty much what's on the plate right now. And we got a few other things lined up, a few other album collaborations, things of that nature. I'm gonna wait till we really lock in, then I'll talk about them more. But I got a few ideas that I'm putting together.
Love it.
So yeah, I ain't stopping, man. We moving.
Not stopping at all. Well, Black C, appreciate you. It was a
Yes,
really good
sir.
interview. Thanks for getting in depth with me and answering all the questions. I really appreciate it. Till the
Anytime.
next one, man, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Much love.
Black C.